Hi, I'm Sandy, and I'm here with Brett this week, as usual. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks, Sandy. How are you?
Good, good. It's dark today.
It is. We're a bit later this week. Yeah, we had a conflicting meeting
Mm,
with one of our partners, so
mhm.
so yeah, we had to push back on this meeting. But yeah, so it's pitch black and it's extremely cold. I think we're gonna have the coldest day of the year tomorrow.
Oh, wow, really?
So yeah,
Plus, you've had snow too, right?
yeah, we've had some snow for the second time this winter.
Mm. Woohoo.
Or second time in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, the kids have been enjoying that, which
Mm.
is good.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Uh, well, so last week we talked about what was new in Social Squared this month in the release that's coming out, and this is kind of Social Squared month. We've been talking about um, forums in general and ways to interact with your colleagues and so on. So we thought we might talk this week a little bit about other ways that you can interact with your colleagues, especially since the recent announcement of Microsoft Viva, which has to do with employee experience and things like that. So um, kind of ties in a little bit. Everybody's working from home and needs to still stay connected with their colleagues and their general workplace, make sure they're staying well and things like that. So that's kind of some of the things that are covered with the Microsoft Viva.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and of course, this is still fresh.
Mhm.
Not there's not a great deal of information available yet, but there was, the launch, which was helped by Satya Nadella. So yeah, you can find that really easily. You just do a quick search for Microsoft Viva, and you're going to come across those videos to learn all about what that is. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's all about yeah, really the well-being of your employees and making sure that they're comfortable. You're spotting signs of stress, but also you're providing them with the best learning opportunities and so on as well. And yeah, Microsoft Viva is pretty much broken down into four different um, modules, I guess is what
Mm-hmm.
we can refer to them as. So yeah, there's a few that really stand out to me. One of them, I think, which is really useful, is the learning
Mm-hmm.
aspect. I think everybody inside organizations, really want to do the best. They want to be able to learn, and yeah, what this does is it really brings that sort of learning experience into the team's environment, where it's using AI and learning itself in order to actually recognize what type of learning you may need to do as an individual. And it's suggesting different types of courses and so on to you. And I know this is not just, Microsoft content. This is Microsoft has reached out to partners to bring in content from all different sorts of learning aspects, and it's something that you can discuss with others and you can share and so on. So yeah, it's great that it's sort of bringing in those sort of learning opportunities into the team's environment.
Mm-hmm. And did they say that an organization could provide its own learning materials? I think also in
Yeah,
integrate
it
that.
looks that way. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's also going to be there for other learning providers to be able to
Mm-hmm.
partner as well. So I know Microsoft has already reached out to some, and they've already been part of obviously a project that's been going on for a while, but just announced now. And yeah, I think that's going to be opened up to other learning providers, which will be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yep.
really, really cool. It's a great opportunity for learning providers as well, I
Right.
guess. It's
Yep.
yeah, placed there right in front of teams who are already spending their days at the moment.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, the learning piece looks really, really good. And again, I'd reach out and have a look at that. I think the other thing that was interesting was the topics as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been seeing this thing develop, I guess, over the last couple of years called Project Cortex. And I think this was announced at Microsoft Ignite maybe 2 years ago.
I think. I think.
Yeah, so that looks really, really great as well. It's, people are spending a lot of time looking for content, and if they can't
I know
find
I
that
do.
content, yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the things that the Lightning Conductor is about as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Lightning Conductor, one of our products, content aggregation in general, I guess, is it's been bringing content and allowing you to access it more easily. So it may be that you forget where you put your tasks, or you don't know that somebody's assigned a task to you, or you created a document, you don't know where that was. we've got so many options. You know, it's not just what task list did I create that task item in, you know, what list and what site collection, or was it a hub site, and so on.
Right.
But you know, it may slip your mind as to whether did you use Microsoft To Do, did you add it into Outlook, was it in the SharePoint list, or was it in Planner?
Right.
You know, there's all these different places where you may have created that content, or somebody may have created content and assigned it to you. Same thing happens with libraries. You know, it's OneDrive or document libraries or the Files tab in Teams. You know, we create documents and we forget where we put them. We know we have them, but yeah, this is something that, you know, we're churning out this information all the time. So yeah, the Lighting Conductor is a tool that allows you to aggregate that content, so you can build reports on your documents or your tasks. And it, once upon a time, was just SharePoint lists, but no longer. It is something that utilizes the graph in order to be able to bring that content in. So yeah, you can build a graph report on Planner items, and also on OneDrive items, and all of the above, and it allows you to build, you know, views inside the same web part instance. So yeah, that's something, and that really is the goal of that web part. It's, you know, stop spending so much time looking for this content, get all your stuff inside one single view, and then the amount of time that will cut down, not just on trying to find the content, but also on maybe the fact that you couldn't find it, so therefore you replicated it, you duplicated it, or you've done something that somebody else has done. And yeah, that can be time consuming as well, not just to you as an individual, but also, you know, expensive for your business to pay you to reproduce content that's already created. So yeah, along those lines, not exactly a content aggregation web part. That it's way more than that, but you know, it is the fact that it's using, again, AI and so on to bring this content and surface that content to you, and also for you to be able to, you know, it goes beyond that, so that you can learn about what certain acronyms mean, and so on. I mean, I joke in, you know, our business, we've got things like BCS and BDC and things like that, which, you know, once upon a time were being battered around all the while. And not everybody knows what those acronyms mean. So if you're a new starter to an organization, it's going to be useful for topics to actually serve that and provide that information.
Yeah, making things discoverable, not just that you have to go looking for them, but
Yeah,
bringing them
yeah.
to you.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So that looks good. I don't know too much about it, but
Right.
you know, it's going to be good, I think, to see that content being available in that way through Microsoft 365.
Yeah. And yeah, and in Teams as well, because
Yeah.
I don't know if the Cortex stuff really was in Teams before, or if it even had made it out into the world yet. I'm not even sure about that.
Yeah, it's not been something that's too much on my radar, but yeah, I know somewhat of it, but haven't really had the chance to play around with that
Right.
a great deal yet. But yeah, and then there's Insights, which, you know, is kind of very familiar, I guess, in a way, from the point of view that you've got things like My Analytics and things like that, which is, you know, all about you. And I've got some great insights into that. We actually mentioned this in the Explaining Pod show this week as well. So yeah, if you haven't used My Analytics yet, it's well worth looking at, because there's I guess, things that it really highlights about, you know, your working time. Like, you know, you haven't got any, you may feel that you're not getting things done. And one of the things it'll point out to you is, yeah, you've got, you know, too many meetings, or you've got meetings that clash, or you not set any focus time this week, or, you know, you're sending too many emails out late at night and nobody's replying to them. And this time, it's so it's that sort of insight that you may want to sort of learn from to get the best out of your working day, and to help avoid sort of burnouts and things like that. But this is actually giving you that from a team point of view. So yeah, using Microsoft Viva and the insights piece, you could actually see through clever analytics again whether your team is showing signs of burnout. Because yeah, you could ask somebody, you know, how are you feeling, and they're fine. And this will bring us on to another topic actually. But you know, maybe they're not. And so this is something that will help you as a manager, I guess, or as a team leader, to be able to spot, you know, how your team's performing, and you know, are they reaching stress levels, and all the rest. So,
Mm.
and
And there's a little part of that that's out already. Actually, I noticed yesterday I've got insights in my Teams now. So it's on the left bar. You can add that as an app and then pin that. And at this point, at least what that gives you is two tabs. So there's one that shows your connections, and it's the same sort of thing that you get in your daily Cortana briefing email. Like, did you remember to reply to this, or you haven't RSVP'd to this meeting invitation yet? And you can pin people. So those are the kind of important people. Then they bubble up to the top of that sheet, which I found interesting. And then also, for example, in my personal tenant, where I'm the owner and I've got two employees in there, it asked me, did I want to schedule one-to-ones with my employees? So I thought that was kind of interesting too.
yeah, again, that will lead us on to a different subject, but
Yeah.
yeah. And actually, that's one of the things that I find really, really useful about my analytics is the fact that, yeah, when you are replying to things in Outlook, somebody may just, say, hey, did you happen to, I don't know, create that blog post? And if you reply saying, oh yeah, I'll get that done today,
Yeah.
then it'll tell you that you didn't do it or ask you if you did it or
Yeah.
not. So it's good that, if you didn't put something on your calendar or add it to do, but
Yep.
you've promised somebody that you'll do it, you're going to get
Hmm.
this reminder.
Yep.
And
Yeah, I find
that's
that super helpful.
it's a very good feature. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. And so I guess the last piece was the connections.
Mm.
So learning and topics and insights and then connections. And the connections is I think going to be really useful in this sort of environment that we find ourselves in with the pandemic and lots of people working from home. And it's to be able to feel connected
Mm.
to your business and to the other people that work inside your business. So you feel like you belong. So we all open up Teams on a daily basis, and we may chat with people in our department or working on, people working on the same project as us. But this really helps us to feel connected with others inside the organization, and there could be news or jobs that you can jobs clubs that you can join and that type of thing.
Or
uh,
jobs, maybe in your
yeah,
organization.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there's I think some really good features there,
Mhm.
and yeah, I'm excited to learn quite a lot more about it.
Yeah, I think
So
sort of like a portal within Teams is
yeah, from the looks,
how it looks to me.
yeah, I'm a little bit at the moment, without knowing too much about it, confused about, well, isn't that a bit SharePointy? But I think
Well, I
there's
think it
probably
does I think they said it does use SharePoint. I mean, I think it really is SharePoint,
yeah, yeah,
mm,
yeah.
but
But
just
it's
a
like,
way of surfacing
do
it.
we
Mm.
have that already? Is what I mean. But
Uh-huh.
it's well, we'll see. There's
Yes.
probably more to it than that, but yeah,
Yeah.
certainly. So
So you said a couple times that leads us on to something, and what are you talking about, Brett?
yeah. So this sort of well-being space I've been in for quite some time, and I'm gonna just sort of back up a few years now to um, a stage in Lightning Tools where things were a little bit different to how they are now. I found that I was kind of causing a bottleneck in the business.
Mm.
So this is something I raised in a group forum that I'm in, and a few people pointed me in the direction of a book called E-Myth. And E-Myth is, if you haven't read it, it's by an author called Michael Gerber, and it's all about the technician and becoming an entrepreneur, and that being a myth. So that's what the E-Myth basically stands for. So I was exactly that. I was a developer, I was a trainer, and then I started this business to build products. And the problem with that is, it doesn't have to be the IT trade. Obviously, this could be anything. You could be a hairdresser. So if you're a hairdresser, you may start a business and you're going to cut hair yourself.
Mm.
And whilst you're cutting hair yourself, you're the bottleneck inside that business. You're not you're taking that forwards by employing other people to cut the hair, and then you driving the business as an entrepreneur would. And that's really the state that I was in. And some of that was through a lack of skills like delegation and people management and having processes in place and so on. So really, I've been on a journey for about the last few years to put a lot of these things in place, and I've learned a lot about me. I've learned a lot about my staff, my team, and we've put a lot of these processes into place, and I think Lightning Tools is a lot better of it. And one of the things that the first thing that you do when you go through this process is really sort of get clear on what you want. Why am I running this business? So, and without doing that, you really are like a pilot that is flying a plane without actually knowing what your destination is. So every single day, you just running through the mill, and yeah, exactly, doing demos, doing some marketing thing, but because you haven't got that focus on the overall vision, you kind of lose track as to where you're going with it all. So yeah, the first thing is to really get clear, and this is something that you don't have to be a business leader to do. You could be somebody that is working as a salesperson or whatever it might be inside your organizations, and it really is a case of I had some one-to-one, or still have this one-to-one coaching around eMyth, and one of the things you do is literally just close your eyes and picture what your life looks like, which is quite weird when you're on a video camera with a coach. But really to visualize what it is you want, and then design your business to be able to deliver that for you. And what you'll end up with is defining some different goals. And one way that I found this more useful is to use the SMART goals, which, if you haven't heard of those, it's SMART basically stands for specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, and it's also time bound. So to explain this, I kind of revert back to a New Year's resolution. So we're just into February here, so I wonder how many people have dropped their New Year's resolutions already. But yeah, it might be that you say, yeah, this year I want to get fit, or this year I want to give up smoking, or whatever it might be, or even a goal. I want to own my own home this year, or something like that. And the problem is those words, they're missing some vital pieces. So one of them is it does have maybe a time stamp on it, but that's about the only thing, and all you're doing is making a statement. But when it's a SMART goal, it's kind of written in a different way. So for example, if I said that I want to lose weight this year, I've not said how much weight and by when, and is it achievable, and is it relevant to my vision? Because if it's not relevant to my vision, then I may not achieve it. So these are things that you're not just applying to your own personal fitness, but you may also want to apply to your job, your goals in life, and so on as well. So it's really useful to sort of align what you want to achieve for you as an individual with your job. So that helps you to actually be your best when you're at work. So how this sort of fits in with the whole scheme of things, one of the practices that we've been doing is a one-to-one with each of the team members every single week. And a lot of companies will do a sort of annual review, but we do a weekly one-to-one, and that allows us to really discuss in private anything to do with your development. So it's a coordinate and employee development model, and that employee development model will basically allow you to, first of all, set your vision as an individual, and then define these SMART goals for you to achieve it as an employee. And that fits into some of this stuff that we've been talking about with Microsoft Viva, because there's the learning aspect. So that fits in really nicely with your SMART goals. So if you need to develop new skills and so on, how is that learning going to fit into it? Likewise with things like the insights. So your well-being, how are you feeling when you're showing up inside those one-to-one meetings? Are you feeling burnt out and that type of thing? So all of that is really, really useful information and fits in. But yeah, one thing that we've been working on for a while is we use Teams to sort of host these one-to-one meetings since we've been remote. Most of the time, for those that are in person in the office, it would be a one-to-one meeting in an office. But
many of us have been remote for a long time anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So it would be a one-to-one meeting, usually with Microsoft Teams. And of course, you're making a lot of notes, you're creating some SMART goals, but just like what we said about, the topics, you create this content, and no matter how well organized that is, sometimes, you go off on a tangent and that information kind of gets forgotten about. So what we've been working on the last year, and what we're looking at utilizing first of all internally with Inside Lightning tools before we productize it, is actually something that helps you as a manager to hold one-to-ones with your meetings, to be able to record some of the information that is being said, about the vision and what those goals are and so on, and then to keep your team member on track with that as well. So it may be that there's some goals, so we'll define a sort of learning path in order to be able to achieve those goals, or whatever it might be, and that's something that we can then bring up each week, and we can then report on that as to how well our team is performing as far as meeting their SMART goals. So
not losing track of what you're doing.
Exactly, and yeah, to really sort of help your employees progress as well. And
and is it just for the one-to-one meetings, or is there something that would go on throughout the week?
Yeah, so it's the ability to measure that yourself as well. So depending on what those goals are that are defined, one thing that we will be able to do is sort of define questions around that as well, and we're looking at making that sort of bot-driven type thing with inside Teams. We used a similar application where you had to basically fill out a questionnaire each week, and that was, unfortunately, you could tell that some people really took it to the 10th degree and provided lots of information. Others, you could tell that this was the last thing they needed to do before they clocked off on Friday. They just kind of like went through it as quickly as possible. So we recognize that as being a challenge, and yeah, the idea is that we build this into a similar process as the sort of My Analytics, where it's reaching out to that employee and it's saying, how are you doing with your goal this week? Did you set your focus time? Have you started studying for that course, or whatever it might be? So the manager can actually define those questions and build those in so that it does align with their goals and when those are going to be achieved.
So specific to that employee, not just a generic thing. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's something that we're working on. Have been working on for quite some time. So kind of excited to get that out when we can. But
yeah. Do you have any idea about a time frame?
Yes, yeah. So it's in our sort of internal roadmap. It's not on our external roadmap yet, but we're looking at rolling this out to Lightning tools with around about May time. So that will give us some, hopefully 3 to 4 months to really sort of fine tune it and get the best out of the product before we start to productize it. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
So yeah, exciting times. I think that'd be a great application.
Yeah. Just curious, have any of our other products gone a similar route, like where it was something that was developed to solve one of our problems and then became an actual product?
Not really, I don't think. No, a lot of our products actually came from my teaching experience. So yeah, the Lightning Conductor was actually my baby back 14 years ago, whatever it was. So it really was in my training days where we used to talk about some good practices when you were installing SharePoint. This was back in SharePoint 2003 or SharePoint 2007 days. And one of those good practices was about defining multiple site collections. So you found back then a lot of businesses would, not really think about what they're doing when they're adopting SharePoint, and they would just start off with a simple site collection. Yeah, and the site collection would just grow considerably. And yeah, some of the reasons why that was a bad practice was for things like backup and restore and obviously performance and that type of thing as well, permissions, and there was so many reasons why that was not the great model. So one of the things that we obviously used to educate people on was actually create many site collections. So you may have site collections for each project or each department and so on. And clearly, that Microsoft has already gone that way now, where almost you're always getting a new site collection on every site that you create. But yeah, the idea of the Lightning Conductor actually came from week in, week out students saying, well, what about content roll up? Because there's the content career web part, and now I can't roll up across different site collections because I'm doing what you told me to do. So yeah, then it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, we perhaps need to work on something like this. So that was one of the first things that we did when we created Lightning Tools was, yeah, let's build a product that will aggregate content across different site collections, and it's really evolved quite quickly through that. And yeah, I guess that type of thing, and the data viewer. This is something that evolved through some of the things that sort of Microsoft switched off, if you like. So the data viewer originally was something that we implemented back in, I think, was it 2013 or 2016, when the sort of WYSIWYG editor disappeared from SharePoint.
Right, but we had the data viewer before that.
Yeah, we did, but for different reasons. Yeah. So we had there was the code view, and then there was the design view, and it's when that design view disappeared. You know, there was a lot of business users that were actually designing powerful views of data using SharePoint Designer, but then they didn't have the skills to do all of that in the code view, which was, you know, intentional that Microsoft removed that, but it was a nice feature that people could no longer do because they didn't have that skill. So that was the reason for building up the data view, to provide that functionality. And then again, with everything, it sort of evolves into into a different product. So yeah,
it's just interesting to hear, you know, where things come from.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and Social Squared, Nick Swan has to take the credit for that one. So this was something that back then everything that we created was kind of all around data, and Social Squared just sort of stood out like a sore thumb. It's like, well, that's kind of a solution as opposed to being anything about data. But you know, it's a fantastic tool. It was a weakness, especially in the 2003-2007 era, where, you know, the discussion board list was very weak in functionality. So yeah, we created Social Squared, and that's just become more and more powerful as the years have gone by. So yeah, definitely.
Cool.
So yeah, they're all built out of genuine needs, I guess.
Right.
It's the key thing. So,
and those needs are all still there. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So,
and I think this will be much the same. I mean, even though we're developing it for ourselves internally to begin with, I think that is a need that's there too. And even if, you know, it might be seen as not that dissimilar from parts of Viva, but I think that's maybe more targeted toward larger organizations where this might be something that a small organization could use, what we'll be providing.
Yeah. I mean, certainly.
Or large.
I think it's a good complement as well to you know, the sort of things that Viv do. It's not a big crossover between those two things. They both have the employee and the employee's well-being, and that employee achieving their goals in mind. So yeah.
Cool.
Excellent.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about this week, or?
No, I think you know, we've had a busy week again. We're getting ready for the Social Squared webinar. So if you haven't signed up for that yet, that's on the 18th of February, 4 p.m. GMT. So on our homepage of our website, lightningtools.com, you'll see a link as you scroll down. You'll be able to sign up for that. And I'm still busy working on that release. So kind of excited to get that release of Social Squared out. And next month we'll be working on the Lightning Conductor, which I think is also going to bring some really nice, powerful features. So.
Yep, I can hardly wait on that.
Certainly.
All right. Well, cool. Well, I guess I'll talk with you next week then.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. All right. See
Take
ya.
care, Sandy. Bye.
Bye.